What's up, guys? My name is Alina Smith. For those that don't know, I'm a producer and writer for projects like ITZY, Red Velvet, Produce 101, Fall Out Boy, Betty Who, and now Sorn from the group CLC. So today I want to show you guys how my team and I produced her new song, Sharp Objects. I'm really excited about this cut. It just came out. Definitely go support Sorn. I'm gonna link her music video down in the description below. Check it out. I think it's really, really cool. At the time that I'm recording this, it still hasn't come out, but I've seen little snippets, so I already know that it's gonna be amazing. This is definitely one of my favorite songs that I've worked on in the last year or so. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump straight into this. I'm excited to show you guys what we did on this. Okay, so first things first, I'm just gonna play you guys a little bit of the song so you get a feel for it.
Mama always said that love's a crazy game. Watch it drive her wild till she went insane. Walking on the broken glass from picture frames. Guess I didn't learn my lesson from her pain. Been told this all my life, the heart cuts deeper than a knife is dangerous. But I play with sharp objects. There ain't no guarantee that loving you won't make me bleed. It's dangerous. But I play with sharp objects. Sharp.
All right. I really love this song, and I could say this without any hint of cockiness because I actually didn't write this top line. I'm purely part of the track on this song. The team that has created the song is my team called The Saga. It's so funny. I've been in this team for like 3 years now, and we are just now starting to have releases. Our first release was Romeo by Elli Moore, which Ellie is in the team. So it's the four of us, me, Ellie, Gino Barletta, and Scott Bruzenak. Now I'm gonna link everybody down below. I would really appreciate it if you guys followed my collaborators and, you know, showed them some love because they are so incredibly talented and they deserve it. So, but back to the song. Basically, yeah, Gino and Annalise wrote this incredible top line and Scott and I worked on the track together. To be fully honest with you, we've sent this back and forth so many times that I just went ahead and asked Scott to send me the stems. So that's why they're all multicolored and not organized and they look like stems. They don't look like my usual sessions that I show you guys, just because we sent stuff back and forth so many times that I was just like, I don't know what I have. I don't, you know, and I know the last place it ended up was with him. So it was just like, just send me everything. So definitely make sure you guys check Scott out. Give him a follow, you know, hire him if you're looking for a producer. He is really amazing, and I'll put his handle down below. But so just, yeah, word of warning, I don't remember who did what. It's been quite a while since we've worked on this track, so I'll just kind of show you guys the stems, and I'll try to remember, like, if it's something that I made, how I made it, or, you know, some of the parts Scott made, I also remember because he told me what he did. So, but yeah, let's just go ahead and look at all these stems. So first of all, we have a bass here, which, you know, it's very simple. It's just these, what is this, eighth notes, I guess, for this. Yeah, if it's 172, it's eighth notes. So super, super simple. I know that Scott uses a lot of Arturia stuff, so I'm willing to bet you money that this is what he used on that. I do use Arturia as well, but I'm not as big of a fan of it as he is, and he has the latest update, like latest version of it, and I have like a very old version, so I actually don't pull up Arturia synths as much as he does. I use Diva for all of my 80s sort of needs, and this song, as you can hear, is very much inspired by the 80s. So a lot of the stuff that says Diva is the stuff that I made because I know he doesn't have Diva, and a lot of the Arturia is Scott's stuff. So then we have an 808 underneath this bass, And it's so funny because I just made this video on my own song Moody, where I also layered an 808 with a bass. It wasn't a synth bass like this, it was an electric bass. And I kind of was like, be careful with this technique, you guys. And I'm going to repeat myself. Do be careful layering basses. It's completely like possible. As you can see, I do it all the time. Just make sure you don't overload the subs. Like, as you can even see here, this bass and this 808 are different in volume. And also this has a very quick attack. You can see it in the waveform. It's very like, you know, and this does not have much of an attack. It's much smoother, and it's also a lot quieter. You can see by the waveform. This is really interesting for me to be showing stems, like mixed stems almost in this way, because usually I have my sessions, so you can see all the plugins, but you a lot of the times don't see these very clear waveforms because there's a lot of processing on every track. But here you can see exactly what's there because I don't have a single plugin on anything right now. So I think another distinctive feature right here is this ARP. And I am pretty sure this is actually from Arcade, which is a really fun VST that I recommend you guys check out. I'm just going to show it to you for a second because I think this is a really fun, sort of underexposed plugin. I don't know a lot of producers that use this, and I find it really interesting. Basically, the best way to describe it, it's almost like they have these lines, right? These like kits. Okay, this one, for example, is jukebox vocals, and it sounds like exactly what it's called.
Put a nickel in the record machine.
It's this like harmonized, almost like 1950s reminiscent stuff. This Honey is very, you can read the description. It's like R&B grooves. You know, very much like if you want to make slow jams, R&B jams, you can go ahead and do it. This one is Latin music. This one, I know it's very like lo-fi, but the really fun thing about this is Overture. I use this a lot. This is pretty much just orchestral stuff. You can go ahead and just find samples that you can take and basically remake into whatever you want by changing the key and changing the tempo. Like, let me just go ahead and pull up any one of these kits right now, just without even previewing it, and I'll show it to you guys. Okay, as you can see, yeah, this is my keyboard right here, and as I press different keys, you know, it triggers this sample. But the really fun thing is I can change the key, right? And I don't have to worry about it. And of course, let's say I just like really change the tempo. And boom, you know, it changes the tempo with it. So, and the fun thing too is it doesn't have to be done by this kit or a line. I can just, let's say if I'm looking for guitars, just be like, guitars! And everything that uses guitars comes up. So I don't know why I went on an arcade tangent just now, you guys, but just strongly recommended. And I know that this came from it. So yeah, and basically for this very 80s, almost video game, film inspired sound, there's certain canonic sounds, and this ARP I think is very much like it. You know, you can literally hear the 80s in this arpeggio. So that is pretty much the intro. I don't think there's a whole lot else here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of a sweep going on. Yeah, and then let's go ahead and check out the verse. I see. So the verse is really actually quite similar to the intro. No drums yet. I got this little weird noise in here. That's cool. It's not even in key. It's so just like gnarly. I love it. It's crazy. So yeah, the kick, actually, the drums come in on the pre, which is interesting. Well, most songs we don't start for this length without any drums, but this one just felt good. You know, as you can see, the production is so simple up until this point. Like, there's just a few stems going on, you know, and then there's the vocals. I'm not gonna play you guys the original vocals because I feel like that's like a bit disrespectful to the artist that cut it, and I think Sorn did such a beautiful job with her rendition, so I want you guys just to hear that. But yeah, let's get into this pre though. So there's quite a few things added here all right away. So we have these floaty sort of vocals. Like I said, I don't remember who made what, but this sounds like this could have been me because it sounds like one of my very common techniques is it's like a pumped vocal where I probably looked, if I did make this stem, which I don't remember, I probably found this on Splice, either in this key or in a really similar key, because that's what I do. I will find like, I will look for the specific key and very like similar BPM range. And then I just threw this like pumping motion on it, which if you guys don't know what this plugin does, it's basically like a sidechain. Yeah, if you just crank it up all the way. So, and it doesn't sound like I had it on the quarter note. It sounds like I had it on the half here. So yeah, it's something like this is actually a technique I really love for pre-choruses. I don't know why, but lately I've just been looking for just like a vocal chop for pre-choruses, and I kind of pan it around and like sidechain it and stuff and make it sort of like into its own instrument. But I find it's more interesting texturally than just playing a synth or something like that. So we have some vocal shots here. Very, very nice. This also sounds like it might be from Arcade, because I remember hearing samples like that in there. Yep, another vocal. There's a lot of small, like vocals used as instruments in the song, and I really love that technique. Okay, we got a big, just rising sort of sweep that pans around, as you can see. I'm sure we used like Pancake or something like that, Pan Man perhaps from Sound Toys. But yeah, it just goes left and right, pretty simple. Diva. I know I made this because of the name. I love Diva for specifically like anything reminiscent of the 80s. Because half the patches sound like immediately in that lane. So just a nice kind of lower pad, really featuring a lot of lower mids. I do like that. So this is a technique that I think is really good for melodic songs. As you guys heard, I'll play you a little bit of this again. The song is quite melodic. So the technique is doubling the vocal melody with something in the track. But I play with sharp objects. And you hear that bell in the background playing that melody. It just helps emphasize it in a subtle way. If you guys follow this channel, you guys know I love subtlety in production. I mean, I like being like all in your face and loud as well, but I love putting in small things that most people don't pick up on, but other musicians are like, ooh, what is that? It's just a fun time when you do that. So we have another bass coming in. Yeah, this is definitely something of Scott's. It just doesn't sound like me. And that's the fun part about collaborating, you guys, that you will create things that you couldn't have on your own because we all have different minds, different ways to think, right? I probably would have just used an 808, like a big sub, because I come from more of a like R&B hip hop mindset for lower end. And this is really interesting to me because it's so wide. And it has so much crunch on it, and it side chains and has a lot of like tremolo movement. So yeah, I love that stem. I think it's so fun. So and then we have another version of this R, because this one right here, I believe is a little bit more filtered than this one. So, that's how it ended up on a different stem. And here's another version pitched up an octave. So, and that's a good technique too. A lot of the times, if you don't want to overload your track with too many motifs, and if you have a motif, like this is like the key motif for the song, it's good to just flip it up an octave, down an octave, maybe have another instrument play the motif. I mean, if you think about this in terms of music, just outside of even pop music, like film music. I mean, if I tell you, sing me the Harry Potter motif, most of you are probably gonna be like da 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 da, because that's the catchiest part of a track or a score, So make sure you do drill your motifs into people's heads, because that's how they get stuck in them. And that's what we want as songwriters and producers. So yeah, we've got the kick coming in on one stem. Scott and I, we're both pretty sparing. I know a lot of people kind of stack up a lot of stuff. I don't think we do as much. I used to. I don't as much anymore. I usually just like to find like one or two stems that make a really good kick or snare and just go with that. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Really, it's funny, like revisiting this. I'm impressed by how little there is here, but how big it sounds in the final. Okay, all right, so this is like a drop chorus type of situation. We've got a crash here that's like self-explanatory. We've got a down sweep, also makes sense. A lot of the times I will layer a crash and a down sweep like this because one is longer, you know, plus they're texturally a bit different. So it creates that, oh, this big moment. We've got this here. I call these developing pads. I don't know if anybody else calls it that, but when there's a filter and it kind of goes up and goes down, you know, there's like development in it. That's why I call it that. Again, this is probably just a Diva preset. I'm definitely a preset girl. Like, I really don't like sound design, to be honest, unless it's with waves. Unless it's like a vocal and I'm adding like a bunch of different plugins to create it, then I like it. But sound design in, you know, anything in Serum and Omnisphere and Diva, is not my thing. What I like to find is a pretty close preset and just use it. I might adjust it. Sometimes I don't even adjust it. Like, usually I'll just adjust the effects, like verbs, delays. I'll adjust the cutoff a lot because sometimes I want it to be like filtering more than it is naturally, or sometimes I automate the cutoff. So that sounds like possibly something I'm doing here. Don't quote me on it though, because I don't fully remember. Just again, more accents, you know, create, and this kind of bell, it's just classic 80s. So we got another wide bass here. I think this type of bass layered with that main bass that we've heard before, possibly an 808. Aha, I was right. It just creates a nice effect, like if you hear them together. One is wide, one is in the middle. And that sort of crunch on the sides is a really good technique. I actually use this a lot. I call those types of tracks just buzz. Sometimes I'll even like tune out the bottom frequencies, use the sub frequencies from the 808, and then just have the like crunch on the side. It just adds a lot of like power. So, and as you can see by these 808s too, they side chain quite a bit to the kick, because if they weren't, they'd just be like, the waveform would be that. And you know, as you could see, it like swoops in, swoops out. So it is side chained. What else do we have here? So back to the discussion about motifs. This is the motif replayed with another instrument. So, and I think the reason this works really quite well is because this motif, actually, let me play the original lower octave. It's actually almost like the opposite type of sound. It's very much like, if you look at it, there's no attack. And if you look at this, it's all attack, right? So it's just taking something that has already been in our heads, been a motif, and really featuring it by choosing a pluck with a lot of attack. So that's kind of like the thinking behind it. Yeah, this is, I can tell this is from Scott because I don't use Prophet. That's so fun. Yeah. I love that. Just very random. Scott's really like creative. He'll find techniques that I would never think of. Like, I would never be like, let me find like a strange metallic Prophet synth to just layer on in bits and pieces, like come in and out. I do really enjoy when producers come up with unique ideas like that. An octave of that makes perfect sense to me, to create a bigger lead. Just helps it be larger and more in charge. I've got the kick here. Oh, different kick. Okay, that makes a lot of sense too, because this sounds layered to me. I don't remember who made it, but it sounds like there's some stomps layered in with it that are wide, and then there's the like dance kick in the middle, which is nice because it elevates it again for the chorus, makes it feel much bigger than it was in the verse. Got the snare. This sounds like Oliver to me, like most likely, because both Scott and I are like obsessed with these Splice samples from Oliver. You guys probably, I mean, it's like the most popular kit on Splice. It's like not news. It's popular because it's good. And I'm definitely not a person that's gonna be like, oh, it's popular, I don't want to use it. Like if it's popular, I'm like, oh, it must be really good. And in this case, like 100%, like this sounds like that probably was it, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like this exact sample layered with like a lower, more mid bass snare. Yeah, it's so funny how I can just like know which sample it is just by hearing it. Look at some claps. Ta-da. Great techniques here. I think, you know, we have the clap, which is a lot wider than the snare, so it works in tandem with it. But then we have every fourth one, like another clap layer underneath that basically helps boost that energy. I do this all the time. This is a very, very common technique. And we even have a little, like a tiny little open hat that comes in every once in a while. Sounds like some layer top loops. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna play a little bit. Oh, okay. I was trying to think if anything else is different because I'm pretty sure the song like stays kind of very much the same. Just it keeps adding a few extra elements. But there is a really cool part in the second verse that I want you guys to hear.
Yeah, I play with sharp objects. Maybe it's because my tongue's a razor blade that I can't take a paper cut with no band-aid.
Here it is.
If there ain't any difference between loving and running with scissors, then I'm okay.
Yeah, I love this part. It's so funny. So the way this part came about in the original, like very first demo, this wasn't here. It was just the track kept going on. But when we heard from Sorn that she really, really liked this song, one of the questions her team asked us is if we could just create something like slightly more exciting in the second verse, which makes a lot of sense because even though this is very like, I wouldn't call this K-pop at all. It's really like a Western vibe. But because Sorn comes from being a member of CLC and being in K-pop, I think they wanted like a little nod to that. So, you know, my collaborators don't work as much on K-pop as I do, so they were like, oh, what should we do? I was like, guys, we need to have some kind of like big like moment with stops there. So I love this moment. I think it's ended up being so special, and basically it's just a bunch of different pitched synths layered to create that like largeness effect. Oh, I love how that filters down. That's all Scott. I don't remember doing that at all. That's all him. Da, da, da. Yeah, that's really, really great too. I love what he did because these hang over a bit and these end. So it kind of creates that almost like anticipation. It's a cool technique for sure. And then we have this here as well. Da, da, da. Just more for like clarity of the notes. Yeah, it's pretty simple. You know, we have like risers going into this moment. Da da, you know, and then like a nice tiny kind of impact without lower end. Nice little crash. Yeah, it's fairly simple. We got like a little trap reverse. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I think this is from this right here. This kit probably sounds like one of these reversed. I might be lying, but I think so. Yeah, and we got a big kind of like roomy crash as well. Just a lot of different textures, really just playing with different things. And then I will play you guys a moment of these background vocals because they're very cool. You know, there's just these big going with the chord. And all of these layers together, I think, really help elevate this moment and make it what it is. And yeah, that's honestly kind of it. A lot of things repeat. You can even see it by looking at the waveforms. It's kind of laid out to where certain sections repeat. And yeah, that's pretty much the song. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it, how we produced this song. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learned a little bit of something from the video. But as always, if you have questions, make sure you ask them down below. I will always answer. And if you like this video, definitely give it a like because it really helps the channel. And on this note, I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna see you guys next time. Bye.